Hello and welcome. Thanks for joining me. My name is Dave and today I'm going to be servicing the Jackaroo. Also today I get to use my oil filter removal kit, which I've never used before. That'll be interesting. Hopefully we can find one that fits. So I guess the idea is one of the Jackaroo filters is upside down, and if you go underneath the car and you unscrew it, you get oil all over your arm. So I guess the idea is that you undo it from the top and then it drains. So in this kit is a list of different vehicles. Unfortunately, yesterday Rob used this as, on his girlfriend's Toyota Camry, and it says Toyota 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times in that list. So Isuzu is 1, 2, 3. So one of them will fit, but we don't know which one. So let's see if we can find out. So we know it's not, it could be 904. What's it say at the top there? 9031. Alright, so it's not 9031. I suspect that's off the newer car. So let's go down to the next one. Isuzu 909. It's not 909 because that's huge. So somewhere in between there's another Isuzu that's not lit in. Maybe it says Holden, I don't know. Can't see. Oh, it says GM. So 905 has got GM on it. So let's have a look at that. Just a bit too small. So let's try 907. No, I don't know what that is. 907 is there, too big. So where's 906? Oh, that might be that one. No, it's too big as well. So 905 is too small. 906 is too big. So it has to be one in between. It could be that one there. Aha! There we are. 9111. Toyota, Honda, Nissan, Chana. Whatever Chana is. So I reckon that one will work. So the idea is that this fits over the end and you use a long extension into there and you can undo your filter in tight spaces. So we'll see how that goes when we get started. Just put this filter back. Right. Alright, so these filters are the filters I got from that seller on eBay. I've got these are the same as that come from Sydney Filters. This one's different. This is a Cooper filter. No idea what that'll be like. And this is also a Westfield filter. This is the air filter. Now I was a bit dubious about that because it's nowhere near as big as the box that came with the old one. I probably won't change the air filter this time, but it looks good. It looks absolutely fine. I'll see about this air filter. I'm not so certain, but I'll change it. I maybe will, I maybe won't. We'll see how we go. Alright, so the first filter we're going to change is going to be this filter here. This is the fuel filter. Now, the thing to watch out for here is that you would think that this would be... Can you see that? Let me put the light on. What have I done with the light? Let me figure out where the light is. There it is. Right, so this pipe that I'm touching with the light here, you would think that was the engine side and that side there was the side from the fuel tank, but you'd be wrong. This is the fuel tank side, this is the engine side. This is where the fuel goes, is pumped into. This is where the fuel comes into the pump. The filter is underneath in the housing. We need to undo these 2 bolts on the top here and we'll take it out and then you can have a look. We'll do the filter when it comes out, but that is what the fuel filter is for. It just screws onto the bottom, but it's easier to do when you take it out. So let's do that. Because I need to release these 2 clips. And just drop that clip down a little bit. And same with this one. Just drop them down out of the way. And then the pipes will push off. Well, you might get a bit of fuel out here, just be careful. You're going to have to put a bolt in it or something if you start getting lots of fuel out, like I'm getting there. So just clip it back on for the meantime and find a bolt. Push it in just to make sure it doesn't leak. The safest way of doing that is actually to have to screw a bolt in, but I reckon it's only residual fuel in there anyway. Right, so let's get a 10mm and get that off. Now, I'm not going to do my usual trick and drop bolts down this time. I'm going to sort it so that doesn't happen. Two bolts. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit down here because there's going to be fuel in that, and there needs to be fuel in the new one, so we might as well transfer it over. But we'll do it over the top of this drip tray, then we don't make a mess. So I'll just move you over here and tilt you down a little bit. There you go. If you get fuel filters and they don't have this on them, be very careful before using them, because anything could have got in there. Give it a good shake, double check inside, make sure it's clean, make sure your O-ring's clean. That's looking good. Let's get the old one off. Now if this is too tight, which this one is, we might have to resort to something different to do. So it's now loose and I can unscrew it. Can I just say that there's no need for it to be that tight. If it leaks and it's hand tight, then there's something wrong. Alright, so what you need to do is you need to inspect your fuel filter, and I can see there is a lot of crap in there. So I'm not going to use this filter. It's filtered out a lot of stuff. So I'm going to pour the diesel away. It's not worth the risk for a bit of diesel. But inspect it on the inside here, because it goes into the inside and out the outside. And I have to say that that was pretty dirty in there and ready to be changed. We might pull that filter apart in a bit. We'll see how we go. Now I'm going to probably clean all my cloths up. Now's a good opportunity to give this side a clean. And I can't think of anything better than a bit of brake cleaner. Get all that crap off. Now that there, and if you can see it, is the flat valve that shuts if there's a bit of pressure, stops the fuel coming through. So if for some reason fuel is trying to push through and it can't use it, it will shut that valve. That piece of metal that's on the bottom of it there is just a stop to stop it going too far. Yeah, that's a good clean. We'll give it a wipe round now. Now these are a sealed unit in respect to the diaphragm. If it doesn't work, then you need to replace it. I don't think you can do a lot with it. I don't know what that does there. Might be some sort of a relief valve. It looks like a relief valve of some type. Might be worth a look. I don't know. And there's where the fuel goes out. So it comes in through the center, goes out through this, through the down the outside. So make sure that sintered bronze disc in there is nice and clean. And mine is. So the filter's been doing its job. That's good. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So I think what we'll do is go ahead and put the new filter on. You need to get a little bit of engine oil and rub it around the O-ring. This will, all it does, it just helps it seal. You don't need to put lots on there. You don't need to pour half a gallon on. Just a little bit on there just helps it seal when you put it up. You could use O-ring lubricant, but that's as tight as it needs to go. It doesn't need to be any tighter than that. Now, the idea is you fill this up with diesel. Unfortunately, I don't have any diesel to fill it up with. So this could be a bleed valve, actually. Could be a bleed screw. Anyway, let's get grubby hands off there. And this is the first time I've used a Cooper filter, but I suspect that they're probably good. I've heard of them before, so that's a good thing. I don't think Matey Boy would risk any relations by giving us a dodgy filter. I'll take you with me because we need to fit this filter back on. Remembering which way round the pipes were. Now, if you can remember, the input pipe was not the one that had diesel in it, because this pipe is higher than the tank, so the input pipe is fine. Where the diesel was is in the feed pipe to the injectors, because they're higher up than the end of these pipes, so that was why it was just a bit of backflow. However, that doesn't really matter as long as you remember which way around the pipes were. If you put the pipes on the wrong way around, it might still run, but the pump will be working the wrong way around.
At this point, I'm going to fess up. In a minute, you'll see that I put the pipes back on the wrong way around. I got them mixed up and I thought they were the right way around. I checked them and I checked them wrong. Took the car for a test drive and everything ran fine, except when I put my foot down, I was getting misfires and it was struggling to get up to speed. I couldn't even get up to 100 when I went down the freeway. What it was the pipes were on the wrong way around. Now, we were under the impression that the engine would not run with the pipes backwards, but obviously they did, and it was drawing the fuel through the filter the wrong way around, and that was why it was struggling. But that said, it still ran. But if you get a misfire at higher revs, or when you put your foot flat to the floor, that's probably the issue if you've just done a service. So I'm putting my hands up and saying I admit to it, I got it wrong, but I'm telling you here so you don't. Okay, thank you.
Around. Now just remember, we need to check this for leaks when we start the engine again, and also remember that this is going to cause the engine to take a long time to start, because it takes ages to pump the fuel into the which is why you're supposed to prime it, but I don't have any diesel, so I can't. The one time that these pliers have been useful. Now there is a primer on there and that will pump fuel in, but it's so slow you've got to pump it 200 or 300 times just to get the filter full. Now I'm not so certain whether that's because this is a bleed screw and you need to undo it or not, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So now what we need to do is drain out the oil. So let's get a bit of cardboard and somewhere to lay. So I think it's 17 mil. Yeah. This is where you need nitrile gloves, so I'll just get some, because this can be quite messy. Right. Now remember, you need to warm your engine up to do this. Make sure you park the bucket so you can see it, and then it's done. Now there is a magnet in the bottom of there. Just check for big bits of chunks of metal, and mine's clear, so I'm all happy with that. One thing you need to do though is keep an eye on that oil flow, because there are 7 litres in here and that might not be a 7 litre oil drain. Now it's not looking like it's going to stop, so I'll just screw the plug back in for a minute and get a different one, an additional one. Let's just swap these. The thing is, if you let it get too full, the problem you have is that you can't maneuver it very well. Gloves are cheap. Use a glove. Use a new glove each time. So we let that run until it stops completely. It'll take a little while. Notice I've kept the sump plug separate down on the floor there. I may need to anneal this washer. That looks reasonably good. When I clean it up, see how golden looking it is? That if it goes dark copper coloured, then it's in need of a anneal. And I've shown you how to anneal stuff. So I've used a bit of brake cleaner and cleaned up the bolt. Right, so let's get rid of some of this oil. What we're doing here is we're using a old oil container and a filter that's specifically used for old oil, and we make sure we leave it on the cardboard and we pour it in. I'll just put you up here so you can see a bit better. So you can see what's going on now. So what I'm doing, what you've got to be careful of here is that you don't overflow the bottle. It's usually fairly easy because diesel engine oil is pretty black. So I can keep an eye on the measure on the side. Now I've got an airlock. That's one full. Yes, you can use old coolant containers or anything. Doesn't really matter as long as it'll hold liquid. Of course, you don't want that to happen. This is why we do it on the cardboard. I probably should have worn 2 gloves for this job. Of course, the best solution is to turn the bottle around like that and it won't fall over. What you can do is you can leave the sump plug out while you do the filters if you wish, and I might do that. But one thing I do recommend is not to leave your new spanner kit anywhere near the oil, because you'll get oil on the house. And the problem thing is that we've got to get the oil filters off. Now the big filters not that much of a problem, except you can't get your hand on. You can get your hand onto it, but you can't really turn it. It's too hard. So this is where these come in. And we need to get the right one, and I can't remember which one it was. Is it 911? No. 905. No. Maybe it was 906. It was 906. So let's see if that fits on both of them. Now you've got to remember that the 4JX1 has 2 oil filters. It's got a small filter and they're the same wrench. There's a small oil filter and there's a large oil filter. One is for the Huey system, the other is for the normal oil feed system. I can't remember which is which, but I suspect that the small one is the Huey system and the large one is the normal oil. But there are 2. So just bear that in mind. I think we stopped dribbling, so I'll just nip up the sump one. So just remember, don't be keen to put your oil pan away. I've emptied it out, but I've need somewhere to put the oil filters when I take them out. I'm trying to get the extension onto the oil filter remover. I think it's going to be oily arm time, which is why I take my jumper off. I'm going to need. I do see a little bit of oil leaking down. It's definitely leaking down, it's definitely loose. I don't know where to put my arm around and to try and undo it, or where to come back in from the top. I think based on the fact that it's going to be really dirty, I might come in from the top. There isn't a lot to leak out, but there's enough. There we go. And I didn't get it down my arm, that's a bonus. I'll let that drip for a while before we can get this off and out. How it comes out, I can't remember. I think it comes out from the other side. I can't get it clear. There's a few drips coming off now, but not much. So I can shove that out. Oh, there's still some at the back there. It has to be removed from up here. Well, it should go through that gap. It really should go through that gap at all. I haven't done the main filter yet. The problem is it won't fit through this gap. That wasn't easy. I need to do is clean myself up a bit. Pretty grubby filter. What you need to do now is you need to go up into the bottom and clean the mating surface where the filter screws against. Arguably the dirtiest job of the lot. Anyway, we'll see what happens. No more than hand tight. That should do it. Again, this is going to be really handy. I reckon hopefully we've got a plastic end on this one too, which we have. Lid off. Maybe. Into the box. And if you open up the box lid like so, you can drop your filter straight in there once it's drained. It's almost stopped dripping, so I'll turn it around, grab the filter and put it in the box this way up. Done. What a messy job. You can use dirty oil out of there, or you can use clean oil, whichever you like, but you need to lubricate that seal. I prefer to use clean oil as opposed to dirty oil, because that way I know what I'm putting on there. This is 5W30 this. Not what I'm putting in the car, but it's fine. Now you can pour some oil into this if you want to. Probably would, so I might pour a bit of oil in there, see how we go. There we go. So I'll just get some oil. I'm not using 5W30 this time, although I am using Castrol. I'm using 10W30. Now I wouldn't recommend filling this up, but at least half of it. Although I've just filled it up, not realising. So now I'm probably going to get 10W30 all over my arm, but we'll see how we go. Here we go again, back in. Fit this filter. Right. I think it's stopped dripping, I'm not sure. I'll give it a wipe, shove it out of the way, and then you don't want to do this if you're claustrophobic. Alright, let's put things away. The filter removal kit was a success because normally it is a major pain in the backside when we have to take the oil filters off because they're so tight you can't undo them. You do need a cloth for this. And what a lot of people do is leave the oil dipstick like this. So when you come to shut the bonnet, you know you haven't put oil in. Quite a clever idea really, if you're prone to forgetting things like that. Well, I know that we took more than 5 litres out, so I can pour all this bottle in and then start measuring it from the next one. Alright, so you're supposed to let it drain down a little bit. I haven't. If I bang my head on the corner of that bonnet once more, I'm going to cry. Needs a bit more. It's going to go down anyway, so you might as well get it to the full mark. Another ½ litre there. So what I'm doing now is I'm priming the fuel injection, the fuel system. I've cracked off this bleed screw here and I'm pumping it through. Well, I'm not pumping it through. I'm going to get a light to show you what I'm doing. So the bleed screw is that one. You loosen that off and then you spend hours doing this on the top. Could do with a little tool for this. The idea here is if you can fill it with diesel before you put it on, and do that, because this is a forever job. Alright, I've used one of my transfer pumps to fill the filter up because when I looked inside after about 200 pumps it was dry as a bone. So that pump does not, hand pump does not work. So I will be looking out for another one when I go to a scrapyard. Apparently the one on the Rodeo is really good. We might see if we can find a Rodeo filter and pump, filter housing and pump. Make sure you get the pipes the right way around. I've lost the other pipe. The other pipe's gone AWOL. Where's it gone? Oh, that's interesting. I seem to have no other pipe. The output pipe to the engine has disappeared. Where has it gone? It's got to be in here somewhere. Unless I've got the wrong one. I have got the wrong one. See, that's what you've got to be careful of. You've got to be careful you don't do that. Because there's one round here that's trapped underneath. Now I've got to make sure I get the right one, because those two are together and one of them goes to the engine and the other one goes to the fuel tank. So I'm assuming that they're this way around. Well, they don't go together, that's for certain. I haven't done the clips yet, I've got to remember to do the clips. Right, that one goes down to the fuel pump, which is down there, and the other one goes up to the tank, which is this one, I believe. No, I'm not sure. Yes, yes it is. It goes after the tank. Let's do this up before we get air in there and lose no quantity of fuel that we've got in. Alright, hopefully I've got them right. We'll see in a minute, won't we? Engine off. We decided we were going to do the air filter on now. The air filter isn't due till next service, but do I do it or don't I? Well, it looks alright, but it has a lot of debris in it. I think I'll swap it. Seems like a good seal. That appears okay. Engine seems to be running fine. So what we might do now, and I've got a bit of a water leak, it's running down the inside of here. It's not much of one, but it is a little bit. So what I might try and do is lift that seal up and put Vaseline in there, because Vaseline is a good waterproofer. See how that goes. I don't really want to put silicone in if I can help it. Let's have a look at that. We'll look at that first. Find my Vaseline. And I don't want no smirky comments about me having Vaseline. Why do I have Vaseline, you ask yourself? Well, I can tell you, because if you don't, and you go through a river crossing, it's coming through your door. I use Vaseline to seal up the door seals. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run that along there. I have to make sure it's clean, because it's pretty grubby under there. In fact, there's all dirt and mud under there, which is probably the reason it's leaking. I'm using Dettol in extra large wipes, and I'm just going to run along that seam as far as I can and see what I get out. Well, look at that. That's how dirty it is in there. It's maybe no wonder it's leaking when you put a clean cloth in, and that's what it comes out like. Might get another wipe and give the windscreen a wipe. Yes, I reckon that'll work. Well, you don't get as many of these extra large wipes, but by God they're handy when you do have them. So you can give your windscreen a good clean, and your wiper for that matter, on the outside and on the inside. Well, you can see all the marks on the inside there from where it's been leaking in. Okay, so that's the service over. We've done the vacuum smoke test, and that was positive. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go for a bit of a drive, test the car, clear up my stuff, and then I've lubricated the brake pedal, stop that squeaking, so that hopefully will work. I probably need to test that windscreen, make sure that doesn't leak anymore. I can't do that in the garage. I might do that when I pull out of it.